The Ole Miss Rebels are in for a fairly interesting year. It's not a rebuild, it's a retooling year, as these are my game-by-game predictions for the Ole Miss Rebels for the 2025 season. Hello, everyone. I'm Lucas Hill here of SEC Live with the voice of college football. Make sure you all do us a favor, hit the like, share, and subscribe button, turn on that bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live here on SEC Live with the voice of college football. Make sure you do us a favor. Follow me on the socials at Lucas Hill SEC. Follow the voice of college football at THEVOCFB. And as always, good thank you to our friends over at Amazon for helping sponsor all of our videos. And for more info, here's Mark.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about the Voice of College Football website. Go to vocfb.com/shop. Go and get some Gamecocks merch. If you watch me on South Carolina Live, get some SEC merch. Use that promo code VOCFB Gamecocks for a nice little discount. Let's start off the year going up against Georgia State, a team, in my opinion, that's going to be the worst team in all of the Sun Belt Conference in this year. They lose a lot from the portal. You really didn't gain a lot as a whole. Your quarterback situation's kind of bleak at this point in time. This should be an easy tune-up win for the Rebels as they get to their first SEC match of the season going to Kroger Field. And in this one, Austin Simmons is going to dial up a lot of different things against this Kentucky secondary that lost a lot from last year. I think Ole Miss has their way. You're going to start to see some breakout guys this year for Ole Miss. You're going to start to see some weapons that really didn't get a whole lot of playing time this past year. I'm excited to see what the depth looks like in the backfield, especially now that you get a lot more durability despite losing a good bit of players like Henry Parrish, who's in the NFL, Ulysses Bentley, who is also in the NFL. We'll see what that running back room looks like. I think the next two games, the same situation. Arkansas coming to town, there's not a whole lot of hope for Arkansas at this point in time. Offensively, you're inconsistent. Defensively, you're a mess. I think Ole Miss takes advantage of that as well. Here's a game that I think nobody really is going to pay attention to, and that's Tulane. What does Jake Retzlaff and this Tulane offense look like? That's a question that I think a lot of people need to consider because the last couple years that Ole Miss has played Tulane, and we're dating back to a pretty consistent series that they've had between the two ever since that great season that Tulane had back in 2022 when they win the Cotton Bowl. John Summerall in his second year. They did not play Ole Miss that same in 22. I think 23 was the first year they did, actually. That last year, if you remember, before Michael Pratt got hurt in 23, Tulane was up on Ole Miss. It's somewhat been an Achilles heel for Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels playing Tulane. You never can take this game lightly. And it's not just Tulane. It's for any other P4 conference team. Kansas State and Oklahoma last year both had a run for their money early on. That was a tight ball game that you had in the beginning of the year where combined you were between the two scores separated by just 22. You had a touchdown loss to Kansas State, and at one point it was a one-possession game against Oklahoma. This year for Tulane, with John Summerall at the helm, you got a chance to pull off some upsets. We'll see what happens when Duke visits Yeoman. We'll see what happens when they go to Ole Miss, but I do think at the end of the day, that's an Ole Miss game that they should win by double digits. But I'm telling you, Don't sleep on Tulane. They're going to be competitive this year. LSU going to Vaught Hemingway again. Ole Miss has beaten LSU at Vaught Hemingway since 2022 or 2020, actually. They've had three straight times. 2019 was the last time LSU beat Ole Miss at Vaught Hemingway. So 21 they beat them, 23 they beat them. We'll see what happens in 25, man. I mean, there's just so much that you can never tell, especially when you're talking about this game in Oxford and how the Magnolia Bowl has fared in Oxford with a lot of crazy memories and a lot of crazy events that have transpired. Nobody can really tell, but I do think LSU goes in here. I know this is a retooled team, but I just don't know how I can trust Austin Simmons going up against an improved LSU secondary that could get after Ole Miss pretty early and often. So I do think that that's a loss in Tulane's book. They'll go to 4-1 with Washington State playing host on October 11th. This isn't the same Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer. Washington State, I do think they get a win in that one as they have a pretty interesting next two games to close off October. Going to Georgia, going to Oklahoma. I don't think you get out of Georgia. We'll see what happens when Austin Simmons has another. We'll see what Austin does with more than one drive that he plays against Georgia this year. Oklahoma, it's another interesting one. This could be one of the more interestingly, evenly matched games that we've seen all year. It really is. And considering where Oklahoma was at last year compared to this year, I expect Oklahoma to make a big jump forward this year. I have them going 8-4. If you haven't checked out that game-by-game prediction, that's out as well. But Georgia, I do think, is going to take a win in this one. I think the same thing for Oklahoma at home. Going back home to South Carolina, with South Carolina coming to town. I know I cover South Carolina, but I'm just being as objectively honest as possible. Lenore Sellers, can Superman deliver against this South Carolina defense? Pete Golding has had an amazing game plan for mobile quarterbacks. I thought he did pretty good last year overall as a whole. But I think this year you have to scheme against Lenore Sellers. You got to put 8 or 9 in the box, prevent him from getting outside. You got to put consistent pressure on him. I think South Carolina is going to take advantage of that, and I think they steal a win on the road in Vaught Hemingway. I really do. I think that that's a game that South Carolina could easily pull away with a victory. You go back home, you play the Citadel. I think you get a win there. Florida's another interesting one, guys. But I think that at the end of the day, I think Florida does have the upper hand in that one. Give me Florida in this one, and then finishing off at Mississippi State. I think you obviously get a massive win in the Egg Bowl. So where do I have Ole Miss at? Well, it's interesting seeing where this program could be, because this could be another 9 or 10 win team, in my opinion. It really could. But I think as a whole, and it's hard for me to say this about Ole Miss. It really is, because I really, really like Ole Miss. And I'm not here to knock Ole Miss. I just don't know if this is going to be that year. Lost a lot last year, guys. And look, Ole Miss is going to be hyped again this year. I just don't know where I can see a scenario where they win more than 8 games. That South Carolina game is obviously one that you could potentially steal. Florida, also one you could potentially steal. But right now, I think that with what you can do, let's see how evenly matched you can get in the portal, guys. Because I think that you can do some incredible things at the end of the day whenever it comes to this defensive team, in my opinion. Guys, Ole Miss defensively, you're going to have to fill in a lot of holes in that defensive secondary. You did a great job when it came to rebuilding that defensive line. You got a lot of pieces. Can you do the same thing? 7-5 is the median where I have them. They could very easily be 8-4, 9-3 at the end of the year. But that's my thoughts on them. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Give me a like, share, and subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification every time we go live here on SEC Live. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed. Don't stress. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.